Welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our GMC tweet of the night. This is from CBS Sports. The Bengals and Steelers this Sunday will feature some awesome unis. The all-white and the Steelers all-black, the color rush uniforms. This is what they were supposed to wear for the Sunday night game, Chris, but this game ultimately got moved because NBC didn't want this matchup. They'd rather have the Chargers and the Chiefs. Can't blame them. Now it's our benefit because that game can be seen on KDKA television. So, Chris, I want to maybe touch on a few other things before we get back to the Steelers, though. Pitt, another devastating loss. The basketball team, by the way, 91-60. They basically weren't even in the game the entire time. Taking on 20th ranked Michigan, a pretty good team. But, at some point, what do you do? I mean, it doesn't look like they're getting any. They haven't made any strides forward.
I mean, I would hope that, I guess what you'd say about tonight's game is maybe you get John Hughley more back integrated into the flow and kind of game shape mode, and you get a better outing from Pitt. But what disappoints me about this game is Jeff Capel's been there a while. You would think that, it's hard with players like who have been transferring in and out to maybe create a steady program culture, but other coaches have done it in this era of these transfers in the transfer portal, Richie. They're down 38-32 at half. That's a 6-point game. Like that in college basketball with the wild swings that can go on in games, that's not a lot. And then to deliver the kind of laid egg performance that they did in the final 20 minutes doesn't speak highly of the coach right now. It shows me that a team, when things get tough for them, tougher than maybe like more than a couple of points deficit, they just kind of slump their shoulders, hang their heads, and don't have a response. Think about how many times you and I watched those Pitt teams of the early 2000s just absolutely nails tough physically and especially mentally. They'd get down in a game, it didn't matter who the opponent was, and they would just claw and fight their way back in. It almost made them better. This team under Capel, it seems early on here, that's the opposite thing happening.
Yeah, down 6, and you would have seen those teams definitely make an effort. It wouldn't even have bothered them. I mean, they were outscored, 53-28 in the second half. I know it's early on, but if this continues, does Capel make it through this year?
I think he would make it through the year, but I don't know how you could keep going back to him. Like, I see people talk about his job, and they say, well, he does have a couple of really good recruits slated to come in next year. I mean, at what point do you pull the ripcord, or cut the cord, I should say, Richie, on the idea that a guy can eventually turn it around if you just give him one more year? I mean, you can't keep having this happen. The basketball program is cratering before our very eyes, if it hasn't already. I know Kevin Stallings had a huge hand in starting that, but Capel simply has not dug it out whatsoever.
All right, let's get out to the phone lines. We got Homer out in Pittsburgh. How you doing, Homer?
Thanks for taking my call.
No problem.
Yeah, my question is this. A couple games here, especially after Pickett had that concussion.
Yeah.
It was 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Now, shouldn't the head coach put another quarterback in to spark the team or something?
You know what, Homer, you make a good point here. Chris, I wondered that a little bit too. At what point do you, if things look up now, arrows up right now, it seems like. But if you go back to certain points in the season, would it make sense potentially to use 2 quarterbacks and maybe spark? We've seen that sometimes in the NFL where teams that don't have one quarterback, they have 2 quarterbacks, and it's basically having no quarterbacks, right? That's saying that maybe you just alternate series or something.
I mean, who's done that in the NFL? I'm asking that seriously recently.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Steve Spurrier did it with like Danny Werfel and Doug Johnson.
Well, remember Pitt did it.
Well,
Harris did it back in the day with Turman.
Okay, but that's college. That's college.
It.
Were you somebody that adhered to the notion that if you go to Pickett, you can't go away from Pickett?
Yes, I was.
Okay, then you can't. Then what you can't say there is, oh, maybe they should have done a 2 quarterback rotation. You just that kind of self-defeated there. You said, hey,
I was asking the question, Chris.
No, no. Once you go to Kenny Pickett, you got to stick with him. I think people that are saying look for a spark are dramatically overestimating Mitch Trubisky's abilities beyond like maybe coming in and doing what he did against the Bucs in a flash moment here or there. Also, quickly here, Richie, here's the bigger picture. I know this team won the game, and people are hopeful that maybe they can still claw their way back into the playoff picture. It would not be the worst thing in the world for the Steelers if they were to get a top 5 to 7 pick and just pick a franchise tackle or take the kind of premium player that they hardly ever have access to without having to trade up. I mean, like I know that I sound like this pessimistic guy, and this is Pittsburgh. The Steelers are held to a different standard. The bottom line is they are a rebuilding team, and rebuilding teams occasionally need to be really bad to get the kind of elite talent that puts them over the top in the near future.
Chris, I'm 100% in your camp on that. You know, I know Pony asked me this question, I think it was last week. Would you rather them win the division or get a top 5 pick? And I say top 5 pick because winning the division, I don't think this team can go far in the playoffs, even if it made the playoffs.
I mean, if you were to win the division, the only way I'd pick that one is if you're suddenly seeing Kenny Pickett look like, I don't know, stat-wise, Justin Herbert rookie year, right? Where he just looks spectacular and is suddenly winning games by himself, because then you feel like at the most important position in football, you've got a guy who's balling out and playing like a difference maker. I don't see that right now.
And the defense playing lights out, too, now. All right, Josiah in San Antonio. What's up, Josiah? Thanks for calling.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Rich. Hey, Chris.
Hey.
Chris. I was trying to see. I don't know if you heard last time. My phone was cutting out. I was saying I hope you have a speedy recovery with your knee surgery.
Appreciate it, man.
No problem. And the other 2 points I had about the Steelers real quick. Number one, watching Kenny Pickett, I don't know if this guy gets, like, happy feet, but it's like he's trying to turn this offense to, like, an XFL. Like, he's just looking back to scramble and drop back and throw on the run. It's just awful. And number two, if this team cannot score more than 10 to 13 points a game, don't even bother showing up. I mean, teams like Buffalo, Miami, they can score. Kansas City, they can score in the strike. And this team gets on my nerves for coming in every other week with 10 to 13 funky points.
You know, Josiah's right on the point that we talked about this earlier in the show. If he doesn't see his read, he's too quick to run. You know?
My thing is, Kenny Pickett, if there's like a skill independent of, hey, I want to see better deep shots or more red zone or this or that, right? If there's a thing I want him to learn that's like innate to the quarterback position at this level, get more comfortable climbing the pocket. The best quarterbacks in the league, whether they are mobile guys or whether they're Tom Brady. Man, Brady's like the textbook example of this. An immobile quarterback, granted from a throwback era kind of now, who just climbs the pocket with confidence and just absolutely steps into throws and rifles them. That is a skill. It is a learned thing, too. Like, you have to have some innate skill, but you have to learn how to do that and have the confidence to do it. That is what Kenny Pickett needs to bring to the table, because I think it would help him immeasurably.
Let's go out to Kirk in Harmer. How you doing, Kirk?
What's up? How you doing, guys?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Hey, I'll take the Pittsburgh at home against the Bungles. After all, they're still the Bungles. Hey, +5 with Watt back healthy, a good game underneath his belt.
They are the defending AFC champions, though. I mean, to be fair.
And we even saw it in game 1, how they look like a different team in the fourth quarter, Chris. I just think once they get rolling, this is going to be a tough team for them to stop, even at full strength. I mean, personally, right now, I know it's early. It's only Wednesday. I mean, I like the Bengals -4.5.
I would actually take the Steelers probably to cover right now, but that's more on faith that TJ Watt's going to continue to bring the goods. I will say the one thing the Steelers have going for them, it's at home. And with no Jamar Chase, it's sort of the reverse TJ Watt effect for that offense. They can't get those game-breaking plays that don't necessitate then sustaining long drives. Cincinnati, I mean. So Chase's absence means that maybe Burrow has to go down the field on longer drives more often to get his points. And every time you have an extended drive, Pickett's even alluded to this, more things can go wrong, penalties, sacks, etc.
Yeah, but Mixon's the guy that I worry about. He might not be the X factor. I mean, Joe Burrow probably is the player to keep an eye on, but like Joe Mixon, he could just really tear it up out of the backfield, running over people. That's the guy that I like, and that's the guy that I would worry about. You know, the Steelers, they always say stop the run first. So, all right, we got to take a break. Back with more of your phone calls and more of Chris's analysis coming up next. Stay right there.